Let's transition and let's go down to South Beach. It's a battle in South Beach on Christmas Eve. It's the 10-4 Dallas Cowboys traveling to Miami to take on the 10-4 Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins are favored by 1 point. It's a 4:25 p.m. kickoff on Christmas Eve. The over-under for this matchup is 49.5. So, when I look at this matchup between the Cowboys and the Dolphins, first and foremost, in my eyes, the Dallas Cowboys and the Miami Dolphins are very, very similar football teams. All season long, what have we talked about when it comes to the Cowboys and the Dolphins? These are two teams who beat up against inferior competition. They beat up against the inferior teams in the NFL. But when they go up against elite competition, they struggle. We saw in week 5, the 49ers blew out the Cowboys 42-10. And the Dolphins, they got beat when they went up against the Eagles earlier in the season, 31-17. So I said this earlier in the season, but the Cowboys and the Dolphins are similar football teams. Like, to me, they both play well against inferior competition. And when they go up against these elite teams in the NFL, they fold. They fold. For whatever reason, they do not play well. So I think they are very, very similar football teams. And I'm excited to see how they fare against each other Sunday. It's going to be interesting. Now, let's go with the Cowboys, right? To start this segment. You look at the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys football team at home compared to what they are on the road is night and day. It is night and day when you look at the Dallas Cowboys as a football team at home compared to what they are on the road. Let's look at the Cowboys' home record compared to their road record and the results. At home, Dallas Cowboys, 7-0. They averaged 40 points per game, and their points per game differential is plus 24.4. On the road, it's the complete opposite. The Cowboys are 3-4. They average 22 points per game, and their points per game differential is minus 0.6. So, for whatever reason, the Cowboys struggle on the road compared to what they do at home. Even Dak Prescott. Let's look at Dak Prescott's numbers on the road compared to being at home. At home, Prescott's QBR is 83. On the road is 60. His completion percentage at home is 74%. On the road is 63%. At home, Dak Prescott averages 303 passing yards per game. On the road, only 216 passing yards per game. Dak Prescott's touchdown to interception ratio at home is 20 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. On the road, it's just 8 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. So, for whatever reason, this Dallas Cowboys football team, they struggle on the road. They really, really do. They got beat down by the 49ers in week 5. They lost that game 42-10. And then even earlier in the season, this was in week 3, they lost to the Arizona Cardinals 28-16. So they struggle on the road. Now, week 9, the game was competitive against the Eagles. They lost 28-23. But I'm looking at their schedule this year. The only road win I can say that was halfway significant is their win against the Chargers in week 6. They won 20-17, but the Chargers aren't even a playoff team in the AFC. So the Cowboys got to get better on the road if they want to have a chance to reach, forget about the Super Bowl, reach the NFC Championship game. Because if the Eagles win out, then the Cowboys, they're going to have to win on the road in the wild card matchup and in the divisional round of the playoffs. So they got to get better on the road as a football team. Now, let's look at the Miami Dolphins. Obviously, the Miami Dolphins, they are led by Tua Tagovailoa for the season. Tua, 25 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 3,921 passing yards. He's completing 71% of his passes. I was impressed with Tua last week. Last week, going up against the Jets without Tyreek Hill, Tua impressed me. He went 21 of 24. He threw for 224 passing yards. He only had one touchdown. His quarterback rating was 119.4. But to only have 3 incompletions against an elite Jets defense was impressive to me. Say what you want about the Jets offensively, but as a defense, the Jets defense is a top 10 defense in the NFL. But the only thing I would say against that argument as well is the Jets defense, they've given up on the season this year. Now, they know that they're not going to the playoffs. And so last week, it could have been one of those games where the Jets defense just said, the hell with this. I mean, the Jets defense, they're thinking about vacation and January and looking forward to the offseason. That's what they're looking forward to. They know they're not going to the playoffs. So, yes, Tua had a great performance against that Jets defense, but I can only give him so much credit. The thing is with Tua, though, Tua as a quarterback, with Tyreek Hill and without Tyreek Hill, it's night and day as well. Like, he struggles when Tyreek Hill is not in the lineup and when he's not even throwing the ball to Tyreek. This is Tua by target this season. His QBR when he targets Tyreek Hill is 96. When he targets others, 62. His yards per attempt when he targets Tyreek Hill is 11.7. When he targets others, 7.6. Tua's touchdown to interception ratio when he targets Tyreek Hill is 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. When he targets others, is 13 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So he has as many touchdowns to others as he has to Tyreek Hill, but he turns the ball over when he throws the ball to others not named Tyreek Hill as well. So we have to see. I think Mike McDaniel already said that Tyreek Hill was going to play in this game. And so that's going to really help this Dolphins offense for sure, because Tyreek Hill is one of the best receivers in the NFL. He really is. You look at Tyreek Hill's numbers this year, 97 receptions, 1,542 receiving yards, 12 touchdowns. It's a chance if Tyreek didn't miss last week's game, he could have perhaps got to 2,000 yards receiving this year. Seriously, think about that for a second. He could have got to 2,000 yards receiving this year if he didn't miss last week's game against the Jets. He still got a chance, though. He still got a chance. If he can have 3 great performances against the Cowboys, Ravens, and Bills, Tyreek Hill could reach 2,000 yards receiving this year. If that doesn't warrant MVP consideration, I don't know what will. But, yeah, Tyreek Hill is the engine that keeps this Miami Dolphins offense going, but they also do run the football better this year compared to what they've done in previous years. This year, the Miami Dolphins offensively, they're averaging 140 rushing yards per game. That's ranked 4th in the NFL. So Raheem Mostert, Akane, the running back who's going to return back to the field this week as well, they're helping this Dolphins offense be balanced, because you can't just rely on Tua to win you football games. You have to have a reliable running game to depend on as we get into January, because if the Miami Dolphins have to go on the road in the playoffs to a Kansas City or to a Baltimore, you have to be able to run the football. If you have to go on the road to a Kansas City or a Baltimore come playoff time, you got to be able to run the football with Raheem Mostert and Devon Akane. So, it's going to be interesting to see if they can run the football against this Cowboys football team. It's going to be a big-time matchup. I'm really looking forward to it because the Cowboys got weapons as well. And again, they didn't play well last week against the Buffalo Bills. So the Cowboys know that this is a game where A, they want to prove we can win on the road against elite teams, and B, it wasn't a fluke when we were winning those games that we were winning late in November and early in December. The Cowboys want to prove that that wasn't something that was a fluke. We are a good football team. So this is interesting. Offensively, you still got CeeDee Lamb. You got Brandon Cooks as well. And I like the Cowboys tight end, Jake Ferguson. He's been playing some great football, and he's been a nice, reliable target for Dak Prescott in this Cowboys offense. He really, really has. So this is going to be a great matchup. Mike McCarthy versus Mike McDaniel on Christmas Eve. Two teams who I believe are very similar. But with that being said, I'm going to roll with the Miami Dolphins to beat the Dallas Cowboys at home. I'm going Tua 24, Dak Prescott 21. So I got Dolphins 24, Cowboys 21. But it's going to be a big-time matchup and a great, great game on Christmas Eve between two playoff teams in their respective conferences.